Your wife has been killed.
I want mission-specific training.
Het frygteligste.
I ask that you keep your distance from me in Jerusalem these next few days.
Hello and welcome to Arts 24's weekly film show. I'm here with our film critic Emma Jones to run through the new releases. Hello, Emma.
Hello.
Now we're starting with The Amateur, directed by James Hawes, best known for the first series of Slow Horses. Now, The Amateur stars former Bond villain Rami Malek. Not the first person that comes to mind when thinking about an action hero, Emma.
Absolutely not. There's a reason why perhaps he was cast as a Bond villain and not Bond himself. But this is the name, The Amateur, that this person is an unlikely killer. So Rami Malek plays Charles. He's a socially introverted CIA cryptographer who, when his wife is murdered, he goes on a one-man revenge spree to find her killers and has the entire CIA giving chase. So serious is the situation that they get in Morpheus from the Matrix himself. That is, of course, Lawrence Fishburne, and he's got plenty of other action credentials as well. Apocalypse Now and John Wick, to name but a few. This film reminds me very much of the Bourne franchise films, as it happens, and there's a new one coming out soon of one of those. If they were rebooting it with a character whose main skill was maths and computing.
Well, let's take a look at The Amateur and hear from Rami Malek and Lawrence Fishburne at the London premiere.
I got to be part of the Bond franchise and thought, well, I can never play that guy, or the world may not think I can play somebody like that. So how do I do my own version? And this is putting, I think, the average human in the driver's seat as Charlie Heller. When you watch it, you might get that visceral experience that, oh, that could be you.
It feels great to be actually at a real cinema and having a film that gets released in the cinemas. That's it's different from how it's been for a while.
You ever wonder what they do with all the stuff you dig up for them?
That's not my job.
No, but you never wonder?
No, it's the CIA. I gotta trust that they'll make the right call. Maybe it's better not to know. Love you.
Love you.
What is this?
Your wife has been killed.
And Emma, Rami Malek really believed in the film because he was also the executive producer, but he does acknowledge he might not be the first choice of an action hero.
Yeah, he does pull it off, though. I'd say the talent of Rami Malek is the best thing about this film. If you've watched him, of course, as Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody or as a computer hacker in Mr. Robot, you know he's a great character actor. And he really elevates this film to a plot that you can almost take seriously, you know, and from the airport thriller that really is the vibe of it. It's been adapted from a 1981 novel by Robert Littell. So this film, I believe, has been in the works since 2006. And I think something lingers of that era about it. You know, it's this multi-destination spin around the world and shoot up the bad guys kind of vibe, which is why I think it reminds me so much of Bourne. So it's got an enjoyable, escapist feel. I think this kind of film was released really on streamers during the COVID era, but as Fishburne says, now back in cinemas. If you enjoy the formula, you're probably going to enjoy this one too.
Okay, worth noting. And we also actually have Bourne's sixth dilemma to come, number 6. I can't believe it. Now, moving on to black and white Scandinavian art house and Polish director Magnus von Horn's The Girl with the Needle. Now, this is set in Denmark after World War I, when Caroline, pregnant and alone, gives her baby to a woman who deals in illegal adoption. This was shown in competition at last year's Cannes Film Festival and shortlisted for an Oscar for Best International Film. Let's take a look.
Caroline, hvem er det?
Jeg er hendes mand.
Verden er et frygteligt sted.
Hvad gjorde du med dit barn?
Now, Emma, you and I actually watched this together at the
did.
premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. It went all the way to the Oscars, where it was nominated for Best Foreign Film, but it's a hard watch, isn't it?
It is. I think it also deserved a prize at Cannes, and I found it curious it did not get a prize at Cannes. This is the story of monsters, and I suppose outwardly the monster is a real-life Danish woman, Dagmar Overby, played in a career best here, I think, by Danish actress Trine Dyrholm. And she's a woman who takes these babies off desperate women. The poor husband of Carolina, the main character, played also superbly by Vic Carmen Sonner. Now, he's described as another monster because he's come home with half his face blown off from World War I, and he can only make a living as a circus freak. But I think the real monsters are the society all around these characters. It's a society that doesn't notice that unwanted babies are simply disappearing, and one that leaves Carolina so poor, desperate and alone that she thinks an abortion with a knitting needle is her only option. So really a real gothic nightmare of a film. I'm sure you can agree with that. You know, the black and white really adds to the sense of claustrophobia and foreboding. A touch of a Danish filmmaker who doesn't pull his punches as well, Lars von Trier, I would say, in that sense of foreboding. But I would say if you do want to watch a thriller, this is your movie.
Okay, it's giving me shivers just talking about it again. I don't think I'll be able to watch it again, I have to say. Well, moving on to something different. We've heard of Christmas films. Slightly more rarer are Easter films or series, but you've got one for us. The Chosen, Last Supper is an American series about Jesus of Nazareth. The first 2 episodes of Series 5, centred around the Last Supper, are being released on the big screen in time for Holy Week and Easter. And this is really something of a phenomenon, isn't it?
It absolutely is as a series. The Chosen refers to the disciples of Jesus, and the series is created by American filmmaker Dallas Jenkins. It was originally made via crowdfunding and hugely successful, about $100 million raised in production expenses. It's gone beyond crowdfunding now. It's so big, it's obviously getting a cinema release. And Jonathan Rumi, the actor who plays Jesus, I consider him to be quite a landmark Jesus of Nazareth, actually, has even met the Pope a couple of times. So we are now at season 5, and this is set in Holy Week, the events leading up to the trial and crucifixion of Jesus and the Last Supper.
Okay, very timely. Let's take a look at The Chosen and hear from the cast and what to expect.
I do believe that Jesus is most likely the Messiah.
Why?
Why what?
Why do you believe that?
I've seen too much.
Then why are you doing this?
I suppose I have not seen enough.
Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem.
You can run on for a long time.
We can really see the scope of the series there. Does it work, though, as a cinematic event?
Yeah, interesting clip there. That was the portrayal of Judas Iscariot of Jesus. Now, I am a fan of The Chosen. I think there's an accessibility and a humour to the series that makes it a good watch, regardless of belief. So it's about the 12 disciples of Jesus and other women, including Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of Jesus. They're the focus of much of the narrative. And there's quite a lot of bro humour between these male disciples, you know, that I think elevates them off from the pages of history. I find it actually more compelling than some of these auteur classics about Jesus of Nazareth. I'd include Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ in there, and Zeffirelli's landmark 1977 series, Jesus of Nazareth. Having said that, if you don't watch The Chosen, you might find this a bit frustrating. This is not a self-contained cinema narrative. It is simply the first 2 hours of The Chosen series. So if you don't know it, I think you might be a little bit baffled and trying to catch up with it.
Most people know the story, don't they?
Well, they do. And if you do go, I think you'd really appreciate the beauty of some of these scenes, you know, art-inspired cinematography for the Last Supper. And I think it's really heavy with portent, you know, about the big events that are to come.
Okay. Well, finally then, one for the school holidays. Dogman started life as a comic book by Dav Pilkey. It's now a DreamWorks animation. It's the story of a police officer and his faithful dog. After a bomb explosion, they're sewn together to be one crime-fighting dog person. That sounds quite grisly for kids.
It really does, but I think it is baked in that, you know, people going to see it will already know about it because this comic book series has been hugely popular with the under 11s. So Dogman has a quirkiness to its story and a retro feel to its animation. It's a real crime caper set in Toy Town. Dogman himself is voiced by the film's director, Pete Hastings. All he has to do is bark, though. It's okay. The main speaking part is actually a cat, voiced by Saturday Night Live comedian Pete Davidson. So Petey is the evilest cat in the universe, and he's Dogman's nemesis. Until, that is, he brings forth a clone, little Petey, a very cute kitten that he can't help but love. So Isla Fisher, she's also in it. She voices a reporter who really wants a promotion. And Ricky Gervais, in my book, steals the show as Flippy, and that is a fish with an apocalyptic agenda.
Okay, well, here are some of the cast. Comedians Pete Davidson, who plays Dogman's archenemy, and Ricky Gervais, who's Flippy the fish.
Pete the cat is this evil guy, right? He wants to take over everything. He's a really good cop, but he gets hurt. So there's a dog that also gets hurt. So they put the dog's head on the cop. He becomes a super cop.
I think kids love crazy, over-the-top stuff. Something as mad and crazy as this. I don't think they're gonna see anything like it before.
Now, this really feels like a throwback to those simpler times when cartoons were really about animals chasing each other. I really like it for that. But there are some touching feels as well in there for the adults going to see this movie about parenthood and also loneliness. I have to say, I found Dogman curiously good fun.
Okay, it's on my list. It's on my list for the holidays. We're going to leave you with Dogman. Emma Jones, thank you so much for giving us your film picks of the week. Thanks, everyone, for watching. See you next time.
When the streets are held hostage,
Break the dog! Hit the siren!
two of the city's finest must come together.
Green, red, green? Wait, aren't dogs colorblind?
And fight as one.
What if we sew the dog's head onto the man's body?